But first, we are going to go to Stuart McLean's The Vinyl Cafe Notebooks and read a letter which is titled Losing Paul. So here. It was late afternoon. I was sitting at my desk. The phone rang. I looked up at the name and the number on the call display, and my stomach lurched. I thought, why is Alan phoning me from Moncton? Alan and I hadn't spoken for years. Not that we hadn't had a falling out, not that we had had a falling out, just that we had been busy, living our lives. I didn't want to pick the phone up. I did, of course. Alan, I said, picking up too quickly. How are you? Not good, he said. The next part came out rushed. Alan said, we lost Paul. Or maybe he said, Paul's gone. Then his voice cracked and he didn't say anything else. It was my turn. And I can't remember what I said. Probably I said, oh no, or maybe, what happened? Or maybe I swore. Probably all three. Paul and I met long ago and far away at a summer camp in the Laurentian Mountains. We were students. Working at camp was our summer job. We worked together for 3 summers and went to the same university. At school, we shared a student apartment, a basement place so small and dingy that the rent was $25 each a month. Paul's brother, Alan, who was phoning from Moncton to tell me Paul had died, lived in that apartment too. There were 2 bedrooms. We flipped a coin and Alan won, so Paul and I shared the remaining bedroom. It was so small we had to build a set of bunk beds. It was cancer, Alan said. It started in his lungs. By the time they found it, it had moved to his bones. They thought he would live until the spring, but that morning, the morning of the telephone call, his wife, Kathy, couldn't wake him. He just stopped breathing. I drove to Peterborough for the funeral. I went with a friend who didn't know him, but who came so I didn't have to go alone. We arrived just as the service was starting. We had to sit in the balcony of the church. I didn't think I was going to cry, but I did. The minister quoted Emily Dickinson in her homily. Parting, wrote Dickinson, is all we know of heaven and all we need of hell. Death is always a surprise, even when it isn't. And it always comes with grief. My grief for Paul is colored by this. I let him slip away from me. My dear, good friend Paul, whom I used to play squash with and drink beer with, and who loved canoeing and recommended books that I should read, slipped away as we grew up and got busy with our lives. He slipped away, and now he is gone. And I am left with the worst of all the emotions. I am left with regret, deep regret. I was in Peterborough, where Paul lived, not 2 months ago. When I was there, I thought I should call Paul. Sometimes I phoned him when I was there, but I didn't phone him on that visit because I was busy and tired and whatever. And now I have been kicking myself all over the place. I went back to his house after the funeral. Kathy gave me a hug. I can't tell you how many times I thought of phoning you these last 6 months, she said. The house was crowded. I found Paul's daughter in the kitchen of a house I had never been in. Have you seen your picture? She asked me. It was stuck on a corkboard by the phone, an old passport picture, taken when I was in my 20s. My hair is long and curly. I have no idea how Paul got it. How long has this been here? I asked. As long as I can remember, said Paul's daughter. It's been there all my life. Clearly, I was still in Paul's heart too. But he hadn't been phoning me either. Alan told me that when Paul found out he was sick, he asked his brother to let me know. Alan couldn't explain why he hadn't called, but I understand. Who wants to make that kind of call? That's the kind of call you put off. I understand why Kathy didn't phone either. I feel sad they didn't, because I would have visited. But it wasn't Kathy and Alan who messed up. It was Paul and me. If we had been doing our job, the sorrow I'm feeling today would have been the deep sorrow that comes with parting, not the pain of regret. Dated 15th of January, 2006. You know, I knew what that letter was about because even though I don't read these letters ahead of time, I was going to read that one last week during one of the Winnie the Pooh readings, but I didn't because I knew when I read Losing Paul, I figured it might be about someone dying, and so I decided that that shouldn't be associated with Winnie the Pooh. So I decided to put it off. And I'm probably more emotional reading it today than I would have been last week. Because I have a cousin that passed away quite recently. One that I haven't seen for a number of years. I don't remember exactly when it was the last time I saw him. And as I was reading it, there were other friends that came to mind that I have lost touch with. And this is not what this show is supposed to be about. This isn't supposed to be Logan reads an emotional story and cries on camera day. But I imagine that most people, when they read or hear that story, that there will be someone that comes to mind. Someone that they're friends with. Someone that they would still call their friend. But they haven't talked to or called or seen for many years. I had a few that came to mind. And I don't know. I can't honestly say, because I'm not going to do it right this minute. I'm not going to reach out to these people right now. And I can't honestly say that I will. Because I'm not sure I will. But right now I want to. And I will try to. All right. Well, on that note, give me a second here. Let me recover myself. And then we'll move on to the featured presentation of Logan Reads Live this afternoon. Oh boy. I'm sure I will be less emotional with this Sherlock Holmes mystery than I will with that letter from Stuart McLean.